I'll be facilitating this session with Robert Whitaker, which is our host, and he'll take care of the next session because I'll be presenting to the board, and then the afternoon session I'll be in charge of that one. Now, let me give you a couple of technical details so you're aware of it. We have people from Colombia and from Honduras and from University of Texas, Brownsville, that'll be looking at us and adding to the discussion through Blackboard Collaborate. Since we're heads and we say we use technology, so we're using technology at a maximum today. Besides that, most of you receive an agenda that says that we have to have a leader. That leader has to be someone that will be here tomorrow because he's going to present to the board of HETS, all the presidents tomorrow, as part of the discussion we're going to have today in an hour 15 minutes that we'll be here together. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask you to present yourself and then know if you're going to be here tomorrow so that amongst those that will be here tomorrow, we can select the leader that will present tomorrow. Now that means that that person has to take notes, and that person will have 30 minutes tomorrow to present, and those 30 minutes include about 10 minutes of discussion. Be aware that the discussion will be with the presidents of all the member institutions that will be here tomorrow. And they're very inquisitive. They'll ask questions. If you don't know the answer, just tell them you don't know the answer. It's a good idea, whatever you think makes them feel comfortable, and you too. Okay? You can watch, if you have, on the YouTube channel of HETS, what we did last year. It's recorded there. We had presentations last year of each one of the topics that we're going to discuss today, but in a different setting. So you can look at those and get an idea, a sense of what happened last year. Having said that, let's start with the lady here. You can present yourselves from what institution you are and if you're going to be here tomorrow.
I'm Natalie Snow from Kutztown University. I'm Director of Institutional Research, and I'll be here tomorrow.
I'm Gil Clary. I'm Assistant Vice Provost for Assessment at Kutztown University. And I was planning on being here tomorrow until I heard that. And I'll be here.
Mitch Freed, I'm the Assistant Vice Provost for Information Technology at Kutztown University, Pennsylvania.
Carmen Betancourt from Pontifical University of Puerto Rico, Distance Learning Director. I'm going to be here tomorrow.
Galinsky, Lincoln College, and I will not be here.
Jane Delgado, I'm the Dean for Institutional Effectiveness and Strategic Planning here at BMCC. I will not be here.
Mayra Rivera, Vice President of Distance Education and Technology, UDP University, Puerto Rico. I'm going to be here.
Joe Middleton, Director of IT Resources at the College. I expect to be here tomorrow.
Albert Robinson, Acting Director, Center for Teaching and Learning and Technology. I'll be here tomorrow.
Robert, the last I've seen personally.
I'm Jamie Flanagan. I'm the Director of E-Learning at BMCC, and I will be here tomorrow.
Carlos Guevara, Director of Education and Technology at Costos Community College, and I'll be here tomorrow.
I'm Loic Odissou. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Bronx Community College, and I won't be here tomorrow.
You won't?
I won't.
Okay.
Ross Miller, I'm the Assistant Vice President for Assessment at Berkeley College, and I'll be here.
Virginia Moreno, Director of Assessment at John Jay College. I may be here tomorrow.
Richard Lamano, Academic Assessment Manager, Bronx Community College. I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay, great. And you're?
Wesley Sousa, I'm the translator.
Okay, so you're the translator. Okay, since we have people from Colombia and from Honduras that don't really understand English, we have him here, and Robert, you should switch places so that he can watch what's going on in the chat. And if they have questions in Spanish, so you can probably, I'll sit over there and you can help me out so we can translate it for them, for the audience here.
Okay.
And then we can translate it back in Spanish for them over there.
Perfect.
Okay? Bueno, now I'm going to switch to Spanish for the people that we have from Latin America. Bienvenidos a los que nos están visitando desde Colombia y Honduras, de cualquier otra parte que no tengan dominio del idioma inglés. Durante esta primera sesión de retención tenemos, como habrán notado, una variedad de representantes de diferentes instituciones cuyo rol o función principal tiene que ver con la retención de estudiantes. Así que bienvenidos. Si tienen algunas preguntas y están conectados a través de Collaborate, en el área del chat pueden escribir su pregunta o comentario. Y tenemos aquí una persona que nos va a ayudar en la traducción de sus preguntas para que podamos entonces tener una discusión lo más animada posible. So, let's start off, and I really don't like to stay here, so I'm going to sit down. Now, among the people that are going to be here tomorrow, raise your hand again for a second. Okay, now amongst those, who wants to be the leader to present tomorrow? Anybody except Carlos, because he did it last year.
I did it last year too.
And of course, we worked together last year. We were in charge, Mayra and I were in charge last year of the whole special event. So, who would like to be the leader?
They don't buy. There are residents from they don't
Yeah, they're really nice people. Yeah. Okay, you'll do it. Okay, thank you. Now, the way we're going to do this is we have some questions that will guide us through the discussion in the morning. Let me say this. For the past 2 years, or 3 years actually, in the different events that HETS has held, we've had concerns with retention, specifically with Hispanics, which is the largest population of students that some of us have in our institutions. And we're trying to figure out how HETS can help all of you to work with retention. So what we would like to hear from each one of you, or most of you, is in terms of technology, what infrastructure do you have in place? Has it been successful? So we can probably share those experiences so we can see if we can adopt it in each one of the other institutions, or probably through HETS we can facilitate something that can be feasible for all member institutions. Okay, so who wants to start off talking about how they have been using technology, if it has been useful, in what ways?
I'll start off.
Sure.
There recently has been a recommendation at our university, Kutztown University of Pennsylvania, to hire a vice president for enrollment management. And along with that particular recommendation by a consulting group, it's been recommended that the university invest in a CRM solution, customer relations management system, to basically get involved very early in recruiting students that might have a better shot at making it through a college career, but also to track them throughout the college career. A supplementary recommendation has been to invest in a student success system as well. So those are two upcoming topics. We don't have it yet, but it parallels, I think, with where this discussion is probably going today.
Yes. Who's had a similar experience or has encountered that?
In EDP in Puerto Rico, we are based in Puerto Rico, but we have a huge group of students, Hispanic students, that live throughout the United States, and they start in online modality, and then they go to Puerto Rico for 3 months. So they move to Puerto Rico, and definitely the success in the retention rates that are over 90% is a combination of human and technology. We had persons dedicated to watch over them, to look to the courses, to verify if they are showing off, And we had a system that we can program, and the system sends students emails, text messages, phone calls to remind them that it's important to enter to the courses, that if they skip a course is equal to skip a whole week, and things like that.
So do you have fully online programs and students don't have to go to the facilities, or is it hybrid?
It's a hybrid program.
It's hybrid.
But during the online part of the program, they are living in the United States. They live here.
Okay, so they only go physically to the institution to do what?
It's a nursing program for the practical clinical experiences.
Oh, okay. Okay.
At the MCC, we have several strategies in place. I'm specifically in online learning, so there are a lot of different things that are done across the board at our campus, but for online learning specifically, we have several tools in place to help students decide if e-learning is a good option for them. We have an e-learning readiness self-check that they complete before they enroll in a class, so that it explains sort of some of the aspects of an online class for students who have never done it before. I'm actually trying to study that and look at whether that has made an impact on retention. But we do have fairly good retention in our e-learning courses. It's about 22% for online classes, which is or 22% attrition per semester for online classes is the average, but that's actually fairly good compared to a lot of other online programs. And I think that we can attribute that partially, like you said, to human solutions and to technology solutions. We have advisors who work closely with the students and explain what they're getting into whenever they take an online class. So I think that helps a lot as well.
Okay. So in terms of technology, what do you, Mayra, and you have in your institution in place?
So as I mentioned, we have the readiness self-check, so that when students, before they register, they have to go through this process and answer questions about their study skills, their communication skills, whether they feel comfortable learning independently without their professor right there in the same room. So those are some of the questions that it asks. Then after that, we help them register and get started, and we have a lot of support services for the course management system. We've actually just recently switched over to Keeney First, which is that's our content resource management system that we're using Keeney-wide. And so that has sort of caused us to make some changes in some of our procedures. So we're still working some of that out, but hopefully in the long run it will be helpful.
Okay. Now that checklist that you're using, is it done in-house or is it purchased?
It's something we created in-house, and it's on our website, and it's accessible to students. We did look at some solutions that are available. There are some proprietary solutions that do like a formal test to assess the student's readiness in certain areas and also in the subject matter as well. But we decided not to adopt one of those systems at this time. But they are available. I'd be curious if anybody else is using them.
Yes.
Is this for the online courses only?
For online and hybrid courses.
Okay. And then you have some sort of cutoff? I mean, you figured out a cutoff as to when something needs to happen on your side? Or?
As far as not allowing them to register if they don't do well on the assessment?
Well, not so much that as opposed to, I guess, monitoring. Maybe I guess that's one option I'm wondering about. If they indicate so many, have you figured out as to we need to pay special attention to these kids?
Well, when they
what do you do with the results?
Well, when they complete the assessment, they get a score based on how they did on the assessment, and we don't block them from registering if they don't do well on it. The idea of the assessment is just to help them think about the environment, but we don't want to say, no, you can't do it. But one thing we do block is we have a GPA restriction. So if students have under 2.0, they can't register. So that's really the only block that we have for them. We don't block them if they don't answer their questions correctly on the assessment.
But then doesn't that affect the retention rate, the attrition from the courses online if you don't, besides the GPA, use the a cutoff, or give them some recommendations to remediate some deficiencies that they might have to be an online student?
We haven't really figured out how to do that, but that's definitely something I think we should explore in more detail.
Okay, has anybody else had that kind of experience? Yes.
There's still a feedback.
They get feedback.
Right, so if they're low scorers, it suggests to them, you know, this might not be a good match, you gotta change your language, but it's clearly that, it's also in the intervention, they're telling them that when you're on your own, there won't be as much interaction. An adult, you know, a lot of writing, I mean, it's in addition to gathering, it also delivers some, and then they get some feedback.
Okay.
How detailed is it? The feedback.
The feedback is fairly general. It's based on a scoring system. So if they score between a 25 and a 30, we say you're an exceptional candidate for e-learning. If you have questions, please contact an academic advisor. So if they score very low on it, for example, between a 1 and a 10, then we tell them that it's not a good option for them and that they should contact an e-learning academic advisor to discuss the learning environment and whether it would be a good for them as an academic option.
Yes, ma'am.
We have an experience in Puerto Rico, in La Católica. So we have a group of students that are part of the time in the U.S. and during 3 months in a year, they are in Puerto Rico. It's a nursing program like the EDP College, and we have 100% retention in this group. What we recommended, our platform have a lot of features that our faculty doesn't use, or they don't understand how to use. We can't know, or we can't preview how the student is, if the student is out of the course, because we have a part of the platform that they said that the student is right now, he is in the course, and they have the date. So if they are 2 weeks out of the course, the professor must send a message, and the student can't respond. What happened? So we can attend, we can have a special care with this student, so that we have a lot of cases that we have with these students, and they continue with our program. So our recommendation is to integrate the tools that we have in the platforms, Banner, a Blackboard, Moodle, or other one. Combine the human touch with the advisor and coordinators specifically for these programs, and the tools that we have integrated in these platforms. So I think that this is our contribution, and it was a great way. We have a lot of assets with this in this program.
So does that mean that you have sort of an early alert system integrated within the platform?
No, we train the professors, the faculty, and how to use these tools that we have in the platform. In this case, it's in Borough, so they can't be alert and alert also the directors of the programs that they have this, and this student out of the course, and send a message to prevent them to get out of the course.
Okay.
We use Moodle Rooms, that is the enterprise version of Moodle, and we integrated it with our student management system. We have campus management. It represents a huge investment where it's paying, because right now we don't need a person to be looking if the student is showing up, or if the student is showing in the course but is not doing anything, because there are a lot of students that enter the course but didn't do anything. And the system triggers the message that goes through Campus View, and Campus Views establish a contact manager alert that triggers a message from the communication department that sends an email, and as I said earlier, an email, a text message, and a phone call.
Okay, so basically you're using different strategies using technology. There's no human intervention, or it's at a minimum, but the system takes care of the whole process of watching students, making sure that they're satisfying the course schedule, doing the assignments and everything.
We started using it in October, so we are still in the pilot phase, and we have a group of people that is overseeing it to verify it's working as we want to work. Until now, it has served a purpose, that is to students stay on the course and identify those students that are at risk.
Okay.
Another thing that we are starting to use is with the regular students, not the online students, we identify them when they make enrollment. We create group in the students' management system, and we call them students at risk, estudiantes en riesgo, and we assign a mentor that usually is a student from a higher level in the same program to mentor this student during the first year. And we also have the project VIDA. We presented it in one of the best practice, where we took these students that enter, and they have, during their first semester, we gave them, those are the courses you're going to be taking. You're going to be taking Successful University Life. It's a course built to help students stay in the university. We gave them an assessment. It's a questionnaire to identify the type of situations that group of students is facing, and the counselor customized a set of presentations or interventions. It's going to depend on what she discovers. We had a group that over 75% of the group had experiences with suicide. So imagine with that group in particular, we were very careful, and we do a lot of interventions. So it's going to depend on what we find. And it started in 2001, and it has been very successful because the students engage in the university life. They stay together. There are 4 courses during the first semester. They took Introduction to Computers, so they can understand and learn to identify what is good in the internet and what is not good, and how to use the tools. They took Spanish, they took English, mathematics, and Successful University Life. It's like a platform semester for them, and they are together for the 4 courses.
Question. As far as the mentoring program that you mentioned, how do you incentivize the higher level students to actually, take on a student that they want to mentor, or a group of students that they want to mentor?
Well, as I said, it's a pilot. That one is a pilot project. It started on August of last year, September, sorry. And we have a very early participation group of students in the student organizations. We have one for each program that we had, and the students that belong to that program are the ones who participate in the program, in the mentoring program, and they use it as part of their portfolio, or they receive a letter of recommendation.
So in terms of those students that are going to become mentors, are they available 24/7 online? Or how does that part work? How do they communicate with the students?
We have a tutoring office where they can gather, and using the Successful University Life, we introduce them to the students that are going to be mentoring, and they participate together in activities because they have this. They share the same interests. They are from the same program. One student for nursing, for one student for nursing, and so on.
Okay, so that first semester is face-to-face.
Mainly, but the students can communicate using our email system. Our students receive an institutional email, and they can use it to communicate. And they're there. There are regular students that show to the university.
Okay, physically they're there. Okay. Any more situations where you're using technology to engage students, increase retention?
About 2-3 years ago, we looked at, the former director actually looked at something he found on the MCC website, which is what you talked about, the assessment test. And we actually, I was able to kind of recreate, it wasn't as fancy as you guys, but it was good for that point, and over the years we kind of improved it a little. But one of the things we're trying to do is figure out a way to tie that data in to the system to attach it to the student. Because right now it's just, they go there, they can print it out and then take it to the advisor. But we want it to go inside the system so that they can go directly to the advisor, and they can be assigned to an advisor and go and they can advise them on what is that they need.
Exactly, and that goes back to what you mentioned. If there's a strategy to identify those students and help them remediate whatever.
So that's what we're trying to get to, because our systems are closely locked down, including getting into Blackboard. We had a committee that we put together. We were working toward getting a degree online, a liberal arts degree, and we got very close. We only have 2 courses away from having a degree online. But right now it's kind of in a holding pattern. But what we did, that group was able to put together a lot of ideas. So what we did was we made up a Blackboard test course. So not only can students take that assessment, they can go into a course, into a Blackboard course that we made up with faculty, donated some of their material, including tests, readings, whatever, and they can see what it's like to actually take an online course just for that moment. And that was pretty tough because of the restrictions on the portal and different things like that. But we were able to get away around that.
Does anybody else use some strategy like that?
We have a course created, and what we do, we assign a number, like it is history or mathematics. It's called SOAR, Student Orientation 101, and the student has to register for that if he's going to take an online courses. The system has embed a trigger that if the student enroll in an online course and haven't taken that course previously, don't allow the students to continue until he enroll in the orientation course. And it's a 2-week course where the student had the experience to interact with the platform without the fear of erasing something or do something bad. And it has been very helpful. We are in the process of revising the course using what we had learned in the past.
Okay. So let me give you this scenario. Let's say that I'm an adult student looking to change a career from, let's say, science. I want to go into nursing or something else. But I'm not sure if I'm ready to take courses online. And I'm not a student yet at the institution. Is there some place that I can go besides the questionnaire that gives me some feedback that I can go in that's open and I can check if the way that the online courses are designed is feasible for me and I can work through that, either if it's a semester or a trimester or whatever terms that the institution may have? Okay, because let me tell you, right now I'm taking a couple of mocks, massive online open courses, and the thing is that I'm working like hell in those courses. Every week I have assignments, I have to turn in papers, I have to read, I have to take a test in order to go forward. Otherwise I can't. And I'm doing it for the certificate. So if I've known that I had to do all that work just for a certificate, I would have registered in the course officially. By the way, it's at Stanford University. So I would have registered and paid for the credits instead of getting a certificate that says that I took the course and I met the minimum requirements. So does any one of you have that in place or thought of that, or would that be an next step?
For my college, I helped run what we call the Online Retention Task Force. And as part of that, we discovered that our students come to online study with a completely different set of expectations than the faculty and the college has for them. And so in trying to find plans for improvement, we changed basically the whole spiel for when students are contacting the college. We made it very clear to them that there was at least as much rigor and difficulty on online study as for on-site study. There's on our website, there's a very short initial quiz that's about, are you ready for online learning? And it's primarily talking about technology, if they have sufficient technology. But it also goes into the idea of whether they're able to stay on a schedule, because our classes are mounted basically in 1-week cycles. So there's assignments, there's a check-in in midweek to see if you're progressing on the assignment, and then it has to be due the next week. So even though they say there's more flexibility in online study, as a matter of fact, it's actually fairly rigorous and scheduled from those 1-week cycles. So all of that information is communicated to the students. And finally, before they can enroll in a course, they have to take a no-credit course called Road to Success that introduces them to the Blackboard learning management system, ensures that they have some competency with manipulating the computer to get to the courses and understand the structure of the courses and where assignments will appear, how they use the Dropbox and things like that. So it's relatively structured for that introduction. And that's true for whether they're a returning adult student, a transfer student, any student taking online course for the first time has to have Road to Success. Berkeley College. Yeah.
We have a fairly rigorous quality assurance process for our faculty when they go through training, and it lasts a whole semester. There are a lot of components that are online for learning the tools and also learning the pedagogy. Then about mid-semester, we bring the faculty in, and all the faculty look at each other's courses. We call it show and tell, and they really find that very helpful in seeing what other faculty are doing. And one of the things that we focus on our quality assurance checklist is that the faculty create a rhythm in the class, because I think having that rhythm is really important for retention. If a student is already challenged in certain ways, it helps if the classes are kind of structured in the same way. Even though the curriculum may be different, the content may be totally different, we try to make sure each class has a rhythm and each class has certain expectations, so that the students sort of know what, after they've done one and they go to take their second class, it's not an entirely different experience, and things are fairly well organized so that the students know where to find things. And then also, you asked a question earlier that I wanted to mention. We have an e-learning center, and we actually established that through our Hispanic Serving Institutions grant. We have a Title V grant, and that allowed us to establish an actual e-learning center. So the students can either call, they can email us, or they can actually come in, and they can come in for training. We offer workshops for students. We do the faculty workshops there also. But so if a student is ever having problems, they know they have somewhere they can go where they can get help, not just logging in, but actually figuring out how to use the tools, how to submit assignments and things like that. And I think that that's a really critical piece of the puzzle to make sure that the student support is in place for technology and the pedagogy.
And that's actually a physical place.
It's a physical place. Most of our students are not distant students. Most of our students come to BMCC for some of their classes anyway. So typically they'll take several classes face-to-face and then take several classes online. So it makes it very easy for them to come in if they need help.
At least once a week.
How large is your staff?
Right now we have 6, well, we will have 6. We have 5 full-time staff right now, and we have 3 part-time technicians that staff our service desk 7 days a week.
Now, that begs the question, do you have, any one of you have a fully online program where you have students from other states that are taking your courses? They don't have to go to your institution for anything. Yes?
Yeah. All of our programs are online. You can have participants from anywhere, at least in the states where we're registered.
Okay.
You know, for that new regulation.
Do you have international students, or are they just from the states?
The quasi-international students would be in the military program. We have naval personnel that are on aircraft carriers, and who knows where they are, things like that. So.
Okay. Now,
and our international students actually are residents of New York City.
Oh, okay. But then again, there's the issue with those that are Latinos or Hispanic. Do you have in place something to remediate their deficiency in English, or do you offer them some immersion program where they move from Spanish to a combination of Spanish to English and then to fully English courses?
I think we use TESOL tests for admission, and to the extent that those are done with a high level of integrity, the students should be prepared for regular classes in English. We do have arrangements with for students who need additional English language study. We have an arrangement with another institution that does the lowest level of that, and then they move in. We do have some ESOL classes on campus, but that helps students strengthen skills if they've already qualified through the TESOL scores.
Okay, great. Anybody else that wants to?
Regarding your question about a place to go if you are not an already enrolled student, we don't have it, but I have the experience in the university I'm studying. It's a fully online university here in the United States. I live in Borough, so I never go to the actual building. And before I start, I had the opportunity to see how a course works. I tried to implement that in EDP, but it's a license issue because you don't know how many people are going to be accessing it, and the company don't have a way to manage that. So.
Now, talking about the young students that you may have at your institution, how do you deal with those that want to use their own technology, the concept of bring your own technology and use it in, or your own device and use it? Has that been an issue regarding retention at your institution? How do you deal with that?
Actually, it's at Kutztown University, we have brick and mortar dormitories, concrete block dormitories, and it's very difficult to perpetuate a Wi-Fi signal into the rooms. It gets expensive. And so our strategy in the dorm rooms to this point, in the dormitories, has been to offer wireless in common areas. Well, it's become very clear that the students won't accept that anymore. That is not satisfactory because they use wireless for BYOD. They use wireless for their smartphone service, believe it or not, rather than using Verizon, for instance, or AT&T or Sprint. They hook onto our wireless for their texting and for their data plan service, not for telephone service. And so we're grappling with the possibility of borrowing money from Pennsylvania, bond issue, which we'll pay back gradually to establish full wireless service in the dormitory rooms, campus-grade wireless. We're also grappling with, actually we're going to do that, do this particular strategy for this coming fall. We have some residence halls that are just off campus, not owned by the university, and we're going to provide those suites. They're more like apartment-style living quarters. We're going to provide those suites with consumer-grade wireless so that the kids don't have to bring their own wireless access points. They do it anyway, so we may as well offer the service and have it done right and configured right and coverage. But we see that as a way of at least helping with student satisfaction. So we'll see how that goes, see how the bond issue goes. We'd like to do it, very much like to get our campus to 100% wireless coverage in the dorm rooms. Cross fingers.
Yeah, yes.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because we did the same thing working with IT, and we are constantly expanding our wireless access. But our campus infrastructure needs to be upgraded all across the board. So you know the other problem we ran into when we started expanding the wireless? We started having problems on the electrical grid. Because now they're plugging in everything. We go into some areas on the campus, there's 1 million people all plugged into everything. Phones, iPads, laptops, everything. So now the electrician is saying that, okay, we need to slow this down until we upgrade the electrical grid. Yeah.
And then again, the investment the institution has to make is huge. Maintenance and electricity cost.
Our new CIO, he's already facing, a lot of upgrade decisions.
It's a different model. And we started to see this about two fall semesters ago, because we began to run out of IP address space on our different subnets. The students would actually saturate the number. IP addresses are all function of binary math. And so you can only have so many addresses per subnet. And what we needed to do to cope with it was actually cut the lease time on particular IP addresses, so that the people coming on would get a new IP address rather than keep an IP address, if that makes any sense. I don't want to talk too techy. But these are all kinds of strange implications that you experience, you learn as you go.
Now, is there any correlation that you can found out between retention and those students that want to use technology at the school or in the hybrid courses, and they just decided to leave because it's not worth it?
I think it's definitely a competition factor at this point in time. It's an expectation.
Yes.
So, and maybe an expectation for incoming students to bring in students. Transfers too.
Actually, I want to make you guys aware that in the HETS, well, I think it's in the HETS or the Virtual Plaza at HETS.org, there's a document, sort of a checklist done by EduCause in the mid, I think it was 2007. It's a checklist that a prospect student does before he sends in a form for an institution. And it talks about all the technology they want to see advised in the website of the students that they are looking at. So keep that in mind. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, since we're talking about not only retention of students, but Hispanic students, there was an article that came out last week from the Journal of Chronicle Education, Higher Chronicle Education, that said that of 300 and I think it was 336 Hispanic serving institutions, only 3% had material in Spanish in their website. So how are you going to have Hispanic students, prospects? How are you going to deal with their parents that don't know any English and they want to look into what the university has to offer to students? And I see it as an issue that has to deal not only with retention, but to getting more students, Hispanic students in our institutions. That if they don't really understand English, they want to make sure that there's a way that they can feel comfortable with what the institution has to offer. And probably through technology and some resources that we may have, we could help those students make a good decision and study at our institutions if we have that available for them. Now, we've all talked about how using technology has probably helped us with retention or the attrition rates. But specifically, what do you do if you have Hispanic students in your classroom? We're not talking about a hybrid course or a distance learning course, online course. We're talking about face-to-face. What tools do you use to help those students that really don't understand what's going on in the 50 minutes of the lecture or the 3 hours of the lecture, so that they can review the materials that were discussed in that class. Keeping in mind that probably we're talking about students that really can't grasp all the information firsthand because they really don't understand what the professor is talking about, and they need something to help them out. So are you using technology, some form of technology to help them out? And if you are, what is it? Is it worthwhile? Has it been effective?
Well, with the nursing program that we have one of the issues that we identify at the beginning is that all of them are Hispanic, but all of them come from different countries, and their Spanish is different. And it's very different from what we call Spanish in Puerto Rico. So one of the things, he's saying yes, one of the things that we start to do is the face-to-face courses, the part that is in Puerto Rico. The professor is in the classroom, but the material is also uploaded on the platform. So the students can go and verify, check it, and we have a link for synonyms, so the student can look for what is the word for that they know.
Okay. So do you use lecture capture tool, Integrity or something like that?
No, the same PowerPoints or the same material that the professor produced for the course, because it's an accelerated modality in Puerto Rico. The same materials are uploaded into the platform, so the student will go and look at them and go through the material at their own pace. Because they are in Puerto Rico and they don't work there. The only thing that they are doing is studying.
Studying that first semester or that period. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, at Lehman we have a number of tools, and well, I don't think they're not necessarily specific to Hispanic students. I mean, lecture capture is one. We have a variety of ways to do lecture capture and make it accessible, which I think is a help. Not just to Hispanic students, but any student that kind of needs to review the stuff, the material. We have Blackboard Collaborate and other things for in-person interaction. We'll be introducing this coming year a Microsoft Link, which also will give them more opportunity for direct interaction, which I think could be a help too, to students that's having some difficulty. But one thing that we haven't done that we need to do is figure out how to actually measure this stuff. Things to determine, what things are really helping and what things are just nice. What students are looking for, clearly they want to use the technology. Every year, like everybody else say, we keep upgrading and enhancing our wireless network, but students keep saying, we need better wireless networks. And so every year we do a little more and keep working on it. So clearly they're using the technology, they want to use the technology. This coming year we'll be adding charging stations, so you power them up. Okay. So there's a constant push from students to make it more accessible, easier to use, more pervasive throughout the campus. And so we keep responding to that, but we have so much data too. The grades data, the Blackboard data, so what we don't have is have to figure out yet how to pull it together and actually make use of it to give us some information about what's working and what's not working.
And that's an issue that we're going to discuss in another group. How is all the data that you're collecting being used? Is it being used through some form of technology to analyze it, or is there a human being that has to sit down and gather all the data and interpret it? Now, you mentioned that you're using a lot of tools, but and that students are using their devices. Are your websites mobile device compliant, or is there
we have a mobile website, and we're launching a new website this summer that's a responsive website, so it'll adapt to your iPad or your smartphone if that's what you're using. But we're doing something else with that too, because you're talking about the Spanish language, and we're aware that we don't have Spanish language website. We do have the translation, the Google translation, but as anybody's looked at it, it's not wonderful. whatever language you pick. But our new web design is making use of what we refer to as our web ecosystem. So we have basically a variety of information or data repositories where we can store videos or images or text or newsletter format, whatever. But it's designed so that you can build a web page and then pull from any of those sources to populate your web page. And so once we migrate to the new website, I think we'll fairly quickly be able to build a selection, not the entire college website, but key pages. We'll be able to build Spanish versions of them fairly easily because by pulling in the pieces, we just build a page and say pull in the Spanish pieces, and they'll be tagged, and then you write a new article and you just say take the old one off, the new one, and it'll just go right there. And so I think we'll have a collection of Spanish pages by sometime this fall.
That's great. That's great.
Can I ask a question? What kind of framework are you using for your web ecosystem? Are you using a particular software solution or homegrown?
Right now it's homegrown. Yeah, we're talking about getting some sort of content management system for the website, but right now it's homegrown. Use it's an Adobe product to manage it, so that a lot of people can manage their little piece of it. We use ADC for calendaring and events, and so we can pull in the events based on the tags in that calendar. We're using a product for video organization. We call it Lehman Digital Connect. So we can, it's basically an index, and we can store material or just reference material if it's somewhere else in iTunes or YouTube or whatever, wherever it is, we can index it, and then we can just from there pull it in based on tags also. So that's how we're building it, trying to get different ways that we can store material and tag it, and then we can just populate a web page by referencing.
Going back to the video or lecture capture thing, if you're using video, I recall that Rene mentioned that they're using Integrity, and they managed to use the closed caption to have it in Spanish or in a different language of the one that the professor is giving the course. And that's, I mean, that's feasible if you have Integrity. And even through YouTube, you can also do it. It has the feature of a closed caption, and you can write in the text in another language. So if we have Hispanic students that really don't understand English, we can have the text in Spanish, and they can follow on using that. And that's free, of course, if it's if you have a YouTube channel. If it's Integrity, there's a fee for that. But that's another issue. Is anybody else using any kind of tool, or is in the near future planning on having their websites enhanced so that no matter what device we use, students use, they can look at the website? Ana Jimenez did something really good. You should see it. They have an app, and depending on the campus, if it's in Puerto Rico or in the States, the students logs on and you can see everything that they need to see. It's sort of the Blackboard mobile thing, but it's for the Ana Jimenez system. So you should ask them how they did it, because it's really cool. And we at HETS that's one of our next projects. We're going to have that also available for all our member institutions, so they can, from their different apparatus, they can log on and have the same sense and feel of the website on their mobile device. Some of you have mentioned that you are using the results from whatever technology you're using to remediate deficiencies that your students have. And I guess none of you have really an institution-wide system to take care of that, except EDP that's working on a pilot that they started last year. So, and the other institution that's planning on that in the near future. Is anybody else looking into that? Having a system-wide, a system that can take care of from when the students enter through their 2 or 4 year life at the institution to monitor their progress. Make
Yeah,
sure-
Lima's working on something of that nature, but I don't know the details of where we are in that process.
Okay. Are we having somebody in the technology session from your institution coming in?
No one other than us that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I guess the last thing I have to ask you guys is how can HETS help each and every one of you to improve or better serve your students? Is there any idea, any way that you think that we can help out? There's something that I need to say because I'm dealing with that. I've been trying for the last, I think it's 2, probably 3 years to create a repository. And I'm using some materials from BMCC, I know, because they're under the student support section and student readiness section in the virtual plaza. But I know that all you've mentioned that you have these wonderful resources that your students are using through your websites. But my question is it only for your students, or can we share it through HETS so that we can serve as a marketing point for you guys, which would be part of what you're paying HETS to do? I mean, we can serve as a starting point for students, Hispanic students especially, that want to look at all possible institutions that have a feeling, if I may say so, for Hispanics and Latinos, and they can go into HETS and see what these member institutions have to offer me as a Latino Hispanic student, and maybe they might think seriously in registering at your institution or becoming a student at your institution. So do you have resources that we can share, we can use, post there? And if you do, all I need is that you send me the link, a short description, and we'll post it. And we'll comment on it. We have a blog that we started using last year, and we can write short articles about it. And as of this semester, we have a large number of Hispanic organizations that are following us through our blog. We have a Twitter account, we have a Facebook account, we have a LinkedIn account, and we started using Tumblr, which is another form of a blog. And behold, when I learned last month that Yahoo bought the company for $1.1 billion. You know why? Because the focus group is teenagers from 15 to 25. So, yes.
I'm at Berkeley College, which is a for-profit institution, and as a result of that status, we can't be called a Hispanic serving institution and qualify for different grants and perks. So if there was some way to identify colleges like mine as Hispanic serving, I mean, we clearly are. We have 30% Hispanic population. I'm not quite sure how we could be identified as being very Hispanic friendly. I mean, we live that every day, but there's an element that's missing in our ability to sort of broadcast that.
Well, through HETS, you can probably send us some articles of Hispanic success among students at your institution. If you're having activities that have to deal with Hispanics, when the Hispanic Month comes, what do you do at your institution? We could announce that. If you have some specific courses that you offer to enhance English speaking for Spanish or Hispanic students, we could promote that also. I mean, and we're not saying that you're a Hispanic serving institution. We're just saying that you have this to offer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And actually, I'll give you a card so you can send me whatever you have. Any other suggestion, any resources that you think you should mention to all of us so that we're aware that you have it?
Yeah, if we could do it, it might be interesting to have you know, just a little bit of information about the tools and products that we use. Then we could look at it and see if somebody's using something we're having difficulty with, we know who to call.
Great that you mentioned that, because something that I would like to come out from this this group is, and I don't want to call it a task force or anything like that, but a group of people that would like to participate in a couple of meetings. We can use Collaborate, and we can have discussions about what tools we have, and we can probably see how we're using those particular tools and see what are the advantages of sharing it with other institutions, and especially if they're free. If you go to the Virtual Plaza and you look at all the Web 2.0 tools that are free, I mean, has anybody heard of a video conference tool where you can have 200 people connected at the same time and it's free? And it's there, we have it available there, you can look at it. So what I'm trying to say to you is that we have a lot of resources in our website, but we need your resources, your input, so that students, when they go into the Virtual Plaza, they can say, Berkeley College, I haven't thought of that institution to go and study. And as a matter of fact, I live close by. Or BMCC, I mean, they have these great strategies to help me out when I'm stumbling, so I should look into that institution and see if it's worthwhile for me to study there. And that's what HETS here for.
Do you have the capability of evaluating competing hardware products for particular usage? For example, we're not responding to what you were asking about is more of an embarrassment of riches. We have so many different initiatives going on simultaneously about how we reach out to students and keep them around. Where do I focus? That was the difficulty. But we do have one project where we're sort of in the beginning stages that's about early alert and really trying to be unobtrusive about how we gather the information. So we're looking at the first electronic interactions with students, whether they don't show, I mean, we haven't done it yet, but when they don't show up for orientation, when they don't respond to an email, when they don't activate their account, when they don't, you know, all those things that really don't depend on faculty knowing what's going on. We really just want to be able to utilize all those pieces of information that we gather early. One of the things that I know we don't have in place that was suggested by this team was an early swipe information, attendance information kind of system, so that even before the faculty know who are in their classes, and you have that 2-week and, you know, Form A or whatever we call it, when everybody's officially registered, there's this period of a couple of weeks where somebody can really get pretty far behind. So something not dependent on faculty to figure it out and or inform us or fill out a form, but something that's automatic about when that student is showing up or not showing up. Have you heard of any of those kind of systems? Has anyone seen anything like that?
Well, my question would be, is it for an online environment, a hybrid environment?
No,
face-to-face?
online and hybrid, no problem. We're talking about students who are supposed to be attending in a particular course, and there's that drop bad period where they shop around. But just to get unobtrusive data about how much thrashing around they're doing in order to, that would be a trigger for us. We could reach out to that student. We could figure out, you know, how can we help you. I mean, we're finding all kinds of places where information is coming out about their difficulty in making this transition, and we're going to get to them. But that one's sort of hardware dependent, and I just wondered if anybody else had anything similar.
Any ideas?
We don't have it, but I was doing a little Googling, and I found something called Starfish, which you might be interested in researching. It's called Starfish Early Alert. And what they're saying here is includes the following key feature sets. Do you know which students need help? Allows instructors, advisors, other members of the student support network to manually raise flags based upon observed behaviors at any time in the academic term. Attendance problems, failure to complete assignments, etc. It goes on and on and on.
We have something already in place where the faculty would have to decide to fill out a form and send something. We really want to avoid that. We figure out that there's a lot of information. So we do have, we're reaching out as people start the admissions and registration process, and we know we get information from that. We know that they have to fill out a survey when they go for testing, and they say things about what they need that we've never used. So, I mean, there are all kinds of pieces of information, electronic pieces of information that we just haven't mined, pardon the expression.
We're investigating right now. In the July 1st, we're actually having a university-wide webinar for MapWorks, which is a little bit different from Starfish, as it allows information from administrative offices on campus, not just faculty and in-class information, like have they been there, but did they register late? How's their financial aid doing? Did they pay their bill? You know, and we actually do use the swipe card information that we get. So that's actually in the beginning when we. What's your college? Kutztown University. Okay, yeah. When we, before we drop students for non-payment in the beginning of the fall semester, we'll always monitor their swipe access, and then we'll give them some extra time if we see that they've swiped at the dining hall or they swiped into their dorm room or something. But people have no activity, then we'll just immediately.
If I recall, Arizona State does that also. They have a mechanized system where they have the card. Actually, the company that does that is Blackboard owned. The owner is Blackboard of that. It's I think they call it administration institution-wide. They use it even for the vending machines. So you swipe the card, and it actually goes back to your Active Directory and make sure that it's a student registered at the institution. And they can even go to bookstores close to the university, which are integrated in the network. And if the student bought the book for X or Y course, which he is registered in, it's well, you can think that he's going to go to the course.
We've just instituted, and this just occurred to me, that we've just instituted swiping turnstiles. I'm going to know whether someone showed up. I don't know if that information is collected. I don't know where it is, but
I wonder if there are any colleges that are actually having students swipe into the classroom, because you know, sometimes when I go to classes, I see them taking attendance in an old-fashioned way, or maybe they don't take attendance. But it would seem really effective, since we have these swipe card systems in place already, if the students swiped in the classroom, and then you know whether they actually went to class or not.
You know what? In Puerto Rico, there's a couple of institutions that are doing a pilot on that. Actually, they're using their ID card. It has a special ribbon, and they have to, by proximity, when they walk into the classroom, it detects you. And even if when you go out, the door won't even open. So you have to use the card to get in and get out of the classroom.
Do you remember the names of the college?
It's one of the campuses from Inter-American University, so you can ask Dr. Pernosa. I can't remember if it's Metro or if it's in Ponce campus, but they were running a pilot. And I used to work at an institution that was also going to do a pilot for the same thing. And they were going to do it, or we were going to do it with going a step further. They would even use it to register for their courses, and each time they wanted to watch a video, they would have to use it at the beginning and at the end. And during the video, there were instances where they had to swipe the card because we wanted to make sure that they were watching the video and not letting it run for half an hour and they were doing something else. And that was done integrating it with Articulate Studio, which is software where you can embed questions within the video or a PowerPoint presentation. And if you don't answer, it will stop right there. And you have to answer the question, even if you answer it wrong. But then, even if you answer it wrong, the information will go into the LMS, the Gradebook Center or whatever form you have, and that would give some feedback to the student and to the faculty in charge of the class if the student is doing what he's supposed to be doing at that time, the period within the semester. It's a little bit complicated, but once you have it in place, it runs smoothly, and faculty doesn't have to deal with assistants, all that sort of thing. So you can look at that. Well, anything else? We're having another session at 11 o'clock, and I'm afraid that I have to leave because I have a presentation to give to the board in a few minutes. I'll leave Robert here with you. Keep in mind that at 11 o'clock, there's going to be the assessment group session. So you're welcome to stay if you want to. Glad to meet all of you. I hope we can set up a group. I'll be in touch with you guys in a couple of weeks. Well, not a couple of weeks in August. Going on vacation next month. So we can start discussing using Blackboard Collaborate and figuring out what are going to be our next steps. Let me announce that in January we're going to have the next best practices showcase. It's going to be in San Juan, Puerto Rico. If I recall, it's on the 16th and 17th of January, and it's a long weekend, especially in Puerto Rico. We have a lot of holidays, but that's the weekend where we have the biggest party after Christmas. It's called Las Fiestas de la Calle San Sebastián, and we're talking about 150,000 people a night in Old San Juan. So it's really a nice time to go to Puerto Rico and avoid the winter and snow here in the States if you're from the cold areas of the States. So again, thank you all for being here with us. You can stay here for a couple of minutes if you want to. And thank you for the people from Colombia and Honduras that were with us. I hope that the person we have here translating for you has been helpful. Do you have any questions? Are there any questions that we should address from them? He's concentrated on writing.
Oh no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
You take care of translating everything, yes. And they understood. Okay, yep. Great. Well, thank you again, and see you next time.
Thank you.
We understand the factors that promote college success, the impact of approaches that truly facilitate success and quality, the secret to a solid teaching process for the Hispanic learner, and the key role of technology to make this happen. HETS, an opportunity to propose, find, and integrate innovative technology solutions to education. We go beyond higher education. We strive for a higher vision. Visit us at www.hets.org. HETS Consortium.